Life Literature. Today I am going to present the second step of writing a critical analysis. I hope that you have watched the earlier video clip on how to write a critical analysis step 1. If not, I invite you to watch that video first and then join this. Okay, now I'm going to present the second step, that is the most important part of writing a critical analysis, that is the writing part, actually the essay. The essay, of course, consists with 3 parts. The 3 parts are the introduction, the body and the conclusion. So to write these 3 paragraphs, or else the 3 parts of the essay, I am going to introduce you 3 new methods. For the introductory part, I am going to introduce a method called the funnel method. For the body part, one of my own methods called the PQA method. And for the concluding section of your answer, another method called the summative method. So this is what I plan to forward to you through this video clip. So before we get started, I am going to present you a question based on the short story in your syllabus, The Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. So here's the question. Are you ready to take up the question? Okay, this is the question for you. The moral Oscar Wilde presents through The Nightingale and the Rose is that true love involves sacrifice and selflessness. Discuss. Okay, this is the question. Now what should you do first? Yes, you are correct. The first thing that you have to do is to find the key phrases of the question. Did you find the key phrases? Okay, what are the key phrases? True love and sacrifice and selflessness. So these are the 2 key phrases in your question. Here you have to pause this video for some time and you yourself have to prepare the pocket plan as we have discussed in the earlier video clip. So pause here and write your own pocket plan. Assuming that you have written your pocket plan already, I'm going to forward my one. So you can check your one with my one. I know that there can be so many differences. Just because your pocket plan is different to my one, you can't decide that your pocket plan is wrong. No, it is not. That is how you have looked at the question. And this is how I am looking at the question. There's no the pocket plan for this. There's no only one pocket plan for this. So this is my one. So tally them. There may be differences. There may be similarities. But anyway, what you should do is to prepare a standard pocket plan to address the question. So this is my one. Okay. Now, I know that before you start planning your answer, there are several questions that come to your mind with regard to the key phrases you have underlined in the question. So these are my questions I have got into my mind when I looked at the key phrases. I'm going to ask myself, who represents true love? Actually, who represents true love? Of course, it is the nightingale in the short story, no one else. Right, now I have selected the character that I should focus on. That is the character of the nightingale. My second question, what is her concept of love? Did you think of that? What is her idea about love? So when I think over this question, I remember some of the quotations that she had uttered in the short story. One quotation, love is a wonderful thing. So what is her idea about love? She believes love is wonderful. And at another place she says, it's more precious than emeralds and dearer than fine opals. What does she mean by this? She means by this that she considers love as a priceless thing. You can't set a value to love. It is priceless. It is a treasured thing. Okay. Thirdly, I remember another quotation. Pearls and pomegranates cannot buy it. What did she mean by this? Pearls, pomegranates cannot buy it. It means cannot buy true love. That means true love is very rare. And also it is as a healer, it is a comforter. True love is a comforter. It can console you, it can comfort you, it can heal you. So that is what she believes about true love. And also another quotation I remember from the short story. It may not be purchased of the merchants, she says at another time. What do you mean by that? You can't buy it from sellers. That means it's not a physical thing, and also it's not cheap. Even if you have thousands and millions of rupees with you, you can't go to the market and ask from the seller, give me some true love. It won't be available because it should come from deep within your heart, from the core of your heart. Money cannot take it out. There should be some other qualities to take it out from a heart of a person. So you can't set a money value to true love. Yet another quotation I remember, that is, nor can it be weighed out in the balance for gold. So if you put gold to one side of the balance and some love to the other side of the balance, you can't weigh it, you can't balance it, because gold is a physical thing and love is not a physical thing. It does not have a physical body. It is something spiritual. It is there inside you. It is your soul. It is your spirit. So how can you weigh it? It is not physical. It is spiritual. Right. Another quotation I remember, at one point the Nightingale says, "What I sing of, he suffers. What is joy to me, to him is pain." What do you mean by that? That says love is a very personal experience. How I experience love can be different from the way you experience love. There are different ways that we experience love. It is so very private and personal. And also, this is another important quotation I can show you. The Nightingale says, "Love is wiser than philosophy and mightier than power." That means she considers love as the most powerful thing in the world. Love as the wisest thing in the world. Nothing else is more powerful and wiser than love. And finally she says, yet love is better than life. She decides that at the final moment, when she decides to sacrifice her love to produce a red rose through magic. Can you remember? There she was a little bit hesitant to sacrifice her life, to give away her life to produce that magical red rose. But anyway, finally she decides with this quotation. She says, "Yet love is better than life." Look at her concept of love. She considers love is virtuous. It's something really good. It is virtuous. It is morally excellent. That's what she believes on love. So these are her basic ideas of love. Okay, so that is the answer for the second question that came into my mind. And thirdly, I think of another question. How sensitive is the Nightingale is for love? Is she so very sensitive towards love? Yes, of course. at the very first sight of the crying student, when the student was crying pathetically, desperately, saying that his life is doomed because he was not able to find a red rose, the nightingale felt so very empathetic towards the student. She understood the suffering of the student. She understood how the student had failed because he is not able to fulfill his love. So that's empathy. So she was full of empathy, full of sensitivity. And fourthly, I get another question. What effort has she taken to make the student fulfill his love? Can you remember her effort? Actually, the student himself did not do anything like that. He only searched through the garden and just sat there crying, thinking about the love that he is going to miss. Everything what was done by the nightingale. She went throughout the garden from one rose tree to another rose tree until she found the red rose tree. And her effort did not stop there. She pleaded with the red rose tree to give her one single red rose in that off-seasonal time. And the red rose tree suggested her a very dangerous way of producing a flower, and finally the nightingale agreed to that, even sacrificing her own life. So that was the great effort that she had taken to fulfill the student's love, to bring him some happiness in realizing his own love. So that was her effort. And was this effort of the nightingale a selfish effort or a selfless effort? What do you think? Of course, we all agree that this effort of the nightingale is quite selfless. She did not think of herself. At one time, she felt hesitant to leave her life because she also enjoyed her own life. But finally, she decided that love is better than life, and she decided to give away her life for the sake of the red rose she intended to produce, so that the student will be able to unite with the girl he loves. And what did she say there? She said, "All that I ask of you in return is that you will be a true lover." That was her only wish, and that was her final wish. So that shows how selfless she had been. She did not want anything for herself. She was sacrificing her life towards the concept she had entertained in her mind of true love, because she had thought true love is sacred and true love is priceless, and also true love is very rare. She wanted to stamp that kind of love among the people in the society. So these were the questions that I got into my mind when I thought of the key phrases of the question. So now in my pocket plan, I have these steps to answer the question. The steps are the value of love, the value she had set on love. Secondly, the empathy she has for others towards true love. And thirdly, the effort that she had taken. Fourthly, the selflessness she was involved in creating this kind of love. And finally, the sacrifice that she had made. So in my pocket plan, all these points are revolving so that I am well prepared to write my answer. My answer is well planned and well organized. Okay, now is the step for us to move on to the writing section. Are you ready? Right, we'll start. So the writing section, I have told you at the beginning, consists of 3 steps. The first step is the introduction or the introductory paragraph. To write the introduction, I have selected a method called the funnel method. The funnel method has got 3 steps. The first step is the general idea that I am going to forward with regard to the focal idea of the question. I am going to forward a general idea. Right. So, the second one is the background information. And thirdly, the thesis statement. Of course, now you might wonder what they are. Don't worry, I'm going to explain. The general idea. Now, what is our focal theme of this question? Of course, it's about love, isn't it so? The theme of the question is love. In following this method, you are going to start from a big thing and you are going to come to a narrow thing. You are going to start wider and you are going to narrow what you are going to say. So the wide idea is given by the general idea. General idea is a common idea you find about the theme of the question. The theme of the question is love, isn't it so? So what general idea can you forward about love? Maybe it can be an idea from a famous person, or it may be an idea of yours as well, or it may be an idea that you have just heard of. You need not to mention the name of the person who had said it, but anyway, forward some common idea about love. I have selected a saying expressed by Mahatma Gandhi. So he had said, when there is love, there is life. So I am going to start my introductory paragraph with this saying of Mahatma Gandhi. So that is the wider capacity you have touched upon. And then after forwarding this with some of your ideas also, 2 or 3 sentences would do, you have to go to the second step, that is the background information you should give. About what? About the particular work that you are writing about. What is our work? We are focusing on today, The Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. So the background information, the relevant background information, of course, the relevant things you have to forward here. What the work is, who the author is, to what particular era it belongs, and the social background of this particular short story if it is necessary. But of course for this question the social background is not necessary, and the characters involved. So you just have to mention a few information about the things that you know about the particular work. And then you are going to specify your answer. The third part is the thesis statement. The thesis statement means the specific argument that you are going to forward through your answer. What are you going to argue on in your answer? Yes, can you remember the question and the key phrases? You are going to argue that true love is something about selflessness and sacrifice. So you have to focus the reader's attention to that specific point by your thesis statement. For example, you can say, Oscar Wilde seems to strongly believe that true love is a selfless sacrifice. So just that single sentence would do as the thesis statement. So this is how you are going to present your answer initially by the introductory paragraph. Is it clear to you now? I hope you are clear with that introductory paragraph. So what should we do now? We have to move on to the body part of the answer. This is the most vital part. This is the most important part, because here you are forwarding your points, your arguments, and your familiarity of the particular text. What should you produce here? You have to produce your points. That means what you have found from the text, and your familiarity, that means how much you know about this text, that you are going to do by providing quotations and by providing situations. And thirdly, you have to argue to prove the key phrases you have found in the question. So these things should be done in a method called PQA method, which I emphasize with my students for all this time. This method will be very much clear for you as well as the marker. So PQA means point, quotation and argument. So you are going to forward the point you have found, and you are going to forward the quotation and finally the argument. PQA. So the points we have already found. Where did we find the points? Have you forgotten by now? No, it's with us. Where are they? They are in our pocket plan. How many points have we found already? I think we have found about 6 points. That means the value, the effort, the empathy, sacrifice and the selflessness. That means 5 points we have found already. So those are our points. And have we got the quotations as well to prove our points? Yes, we have. I have discussed the quotations. Can you remember at the very beginning? So the quotations are also with us now. Then the most important part, you have to argue these things with your language. So you have to have a powerful language here. You have to give your own ideas and things like that in your argument part. For example, I'm going to show you how to do this taking 1 point. So the point I would like to take is I think it's better for me to take the point of the priceless quality of love. That is the first point in my pocket plan. Love is priceless. So as the point, we can say something like this. The Nightingale's concept of love is morally excellent. She believes that love is priceless. So the point part is as simple as that. Just 1 or 2 lines. You are getting the marker to focus on this particular point by forwarding P. Make sure you have to always end this particular statement with a colon. Colon, do you know what a colon is? That is a punctuation marks, the 2 dots. So you have to end this with a colon to show the marker that you are going to present the quotation ahead. Right? Then P, what's the next one? Q. Q is the quotation. So what is the most relevant and the most effective quotation you can forward to prove this point? We have already selected. What is the quotation? It's more precious than emeralds and dearer than fine opals. That's the quotation. Make sure put the quotation within inverted commas in a different line. Don't go on writing the quotation in the same line of the paragraph. Start with a new line and put them inside the inverted commas. Okay, so now we have given the quotation, and the most challenging part of this method, that is the argument. Now you are going to argue. You are going to say, you are going to prove that love, true love, is a priceless thing. You can't set a value on true love. You are going to prove this. How are you going to prove this? For that, you have to take particular words and phrases which is there in the quotation. So in the quotation, we get these things, emeralds and opals. You have to tell the marker, you have to show the marker that you know what these emeralds and what these opals are and what do they represent, what do they symbolize. You have to go deep into these things and highlight the point you are going to argue. You have to highlight that true love is priceless. So what do you know of emeralds and opals? Emeralds and opals are precious stones. They are not just precious stones, they are very rare and very valuable precious stones. You might have heard of them. Emeralds, we know, they are green in color and they are very rare. Only found in certain parts of the world. You don't find them everywhere. Opals are the same. Opals are with different colors. There are black opals, white opals, purple, green, blue, red. So many colors of opals are found in the particular regions of the world where they are found. So that rarity is there in them. Not only the rarity, the precious quality of these gemstones are also there. Rareness and the value, preciousness. And do you know, children, these emeralds and opals are more valuable than even the diamonds. So all believe that diamonds are very valuable, but I have to emphasize these emeralds and opals are even more valuable than diamonds. So you can imagine how valuable they are. So what does the nightingale say? The nightingale says it's more precious than emeralds and dearer than opals. Why dearer? Not only the money value, you even love these precious stones. And do you know these opals are thought of stones of good fortune as well. If you want fortune to come to you, if you can keep an opal with you, surely fortune will be yours. That's how people believe. Of course, because it's a very expensive gem. So it has that quality also, attraction of good luck, attraction of fortune. That means true love can make you fortunate as well, really lucky as well. So if we are to have true love in our life, that means we are really, really lucky. So that is the idea forwarded by the nightingale. So these things you have to provide in your argument section. So your argument section should not be only an explanation. Explanation will not be enough. Yes, you have to explain the quotation, but with deeper analysis. Remember that. Don't stop at explanation. Analyze it deeply, the particular points that are important to prove the point you have forwarded. The point I have forwarded, the pricelessness of true love, then argue how it is emphasized through this quotation. So this is how I would put my argument part. I would write my argument part. An example, the above quoted line takes the reader's attention to two of the most precious and rarest gemstones ever found on earth. The green colored emerald and the opal of many hues are even more expensive than diamonds. If love is more precious than them, one could imagine the value of it. Love surpasses the value of precious stones. Also, love is as rare as them. Moreover, like the good-fortuned opals, true love brings fortune to life. Thus is the immense value Nightingale sets on true love. So such type of writing for argument would do. I hope by now you have followed the PQA method. You can't stop by just considering only 1 point, you have to produce such writings, such pieces of writing for each and every point that you have selected in your pocket plan. If you have selected 5 points in your pocket plan, you have to write 5 sets of PQA pieces for the body part of your answer. Is it clear now? I hope it is. Right. Now, the third part of the answer, that is the final part, that is the conclusion. The method I am going to introduce for the conclusion is the summative method. Summative means a kind of a summary you are going to produce, a kind of a cumulative idea you are going to present of what you have already forwarded above in the body part of the answer. So the summative method also consists of 3 steps. The first step is restate the thesis. The second step, summarize the most important fact. The third step is the thought-provoking summing up of the answer. So by following these 3 steps, you can conclude your answer. So we'll go back and find what restating the thesis is. Have you forgotten by now what your thesis statement is? I'm sure you have. So can you try to remember it? Our thesis statement was what? That true love is something selfless and sacrificial. So that had been our thesis statement. So in your final paragraph, you have to restate it. Restate means to write it again. Mention it again, not in the same manner that you have forwarded in the first paragraph. Try to give it in a different way. For example, you can say, thus, my strong belief of true love as a selfless sacrifice is discussed above with ample evidences. So there we have restated the thesis statement that we have selected at the very first paragraph. Then the second, summarize the most important facts. Can you remember the most important facts? That means the points that we have selected in our pocket plan. Like what? The 5 points I have earlier discussed, like the value of true love, empathy, then effort, and then sacrifice, and finally the selflessness. Those 5 points you have to forward once again. It would be beneficial for you because there you are rechecking whether you have touched on each and every point, and also it would be more beneficial for the marker because markers are also human beings, not computers or machines. So when they go on reading the answer, sometimes they forget. Even that happens to me also. Sometimes we forget what the child has written earlier. So there you are reminding the marker that you have touched upon these things. So it is easier for the marker to decide the mark for your answer. So you have to give the summary of the important facts that you have introduced. For example, this is how I am going to summarize. Throughout the short story, the writer has been able to dig into the mind of the reader the morally excellent concept of love, emphasizing its numerous qualities: the heart-rending empathetic sensitivity towards love, the practical effort taken to realize it, and finally, the selfless life sacrifice the Nightingale celebrate what true love is. So such a summary would do. And finally, the final part of our concluding paragraph, end your answer with a thought-provoking sentence. Thought-provoking means something to think about, something to feel, something to remember even after your answer has finished. So we can say something like this. So thought-provoking. What can you forward to linger in the memory of the marker? You can forward some of the doubts that you have got while going through this short story. I have some personal doubts, my personal views about this true love concept that Oscar Wilde is presenting us. So I sometimes feel whether such degree of true love exists in our society. Such degree of true love like the one entertained by the Nightingale, self-sacrificial true love. It's very rare, of course, whether it is practical. I sometimes wonder about this. And another thing, I wonder, why is true love so rare in the society? Why is it not there everywhere? Why can't you find it easily? Why is there fake love instead of true love? I wonder about these things. These are the practical problems we get while we read this short story. Didn't you also get such doubts about this concept of true love? I'm sure that you have felt these things. So why not forwarding these attitudes in your answer, the attitudes you yourself had experienced in your answer, so the other person will also think in that stream. So we can write a concluding thought-provoking sentence like this. Example, the discussed facts suggest the deep chasm between true love and other different versions of love that exist in society in plenty. Does true love really exist? Why is it so rare? Would it bring total happiness to your life? Finally, the reader is left with such doubts to ponder over, leaving space for better understanding of love through the short story. So, such type of a concluding will always let the marker think more about something, and it will enable the marker to understand your streamline of thinking as well, so that your writing will be more effective and the marker will feel like giving you one extra mark as well. So we have to make the marker attract to ourselves in our piece of writing. So I hope that you have understood this 3-method system of writing part of the critical analysis. If you have questions, forward them, comment down below. I am all prepared, I am all set to clear your doubts. So till we meet in another video clip, goodbye.